Hello, I reckon 87 and welcome back to Combat Mission Battle for Normandy. We are kicking off the 9th mission in the Scottish Corridor campaign. This one is the Odon Bridges and will again be on veteran difficulty as we won our last battle. And this is again with the Argyll and Southern Highlanders. In fact, this will be our last mission with Argyll and Southern Highlanders in the Scottish Corridor campaign, at least according to the campaign notes. We will be returning to the 9th Cameroons for the final 4 or 5 missions. And of the Argyll and Southern Highlanders, so the same companies we were playing with last time, or most of them, 10th, 11th and 12th of B Company. We are initially supported by 14th Platoon of C Company as well. In addition, on our side we've got some supporting scout sections, which came with Bren's. We've got their HQ here and the actual scouts are over on this side. We also have some HMG sections, so these Vickers heavy machine guns. So we've got 2 of those with carriers. There's one tucked away at the back, you can't see it, which we'll get to later. And we've got an FO, sniper, and quite importantly, some anti-tank guns. We've got 2 of these 57mm anti-tank guns. And that is our forces. So for those of you eagle-eyed, and probably even not so eagle-eyed, you'll notice this is the same kind of map as we had last time, obviously just extended to the south here. And indeed our mission is very similar. So this is on the 29th of June, so this is the same day as our earlier defence. And again we need to defend Gavros from a German counterattack. So we're defending our bridgehead over the Odon. In terms of our objectives, it's pretty straightforward. We need to ensure the Germans don't secure Donjon as our number 1 priority. That's worth 500 victory points. Secondly, we want to keep them out of Lower Gavros and objective Gatehouse. That's worth 200. And thirdly, we want to inflict as many casualties upon the enemies as we can, up to a maximum of 500 points for that. Finally, there's a bonus 100 points if we keep our casualties below 20%. In terms of the Germans and what we're going to be facing, so it is the 10th SS Division, and we suspect they are a battalion level or battalion strength of attack. So full battalion would be 3 companies, 9 platoons worth of infantry plus supporting heavy machine guns, mortars, etc. It did say in the briefing note that they had inflicted or had suffered casualties early in the day from artillery fire, so we're not expecting them to be at full strength. So maybe might be something down to like 2 companies worth. So again, still maybe 6 platoons. But meanwhile, the key element that we know here is that they will be supported by tanks and by, we suspect, Panzer IVs. So that's definitely going to be the tricky piece that we need to unlock. Obviously using our AT assets, because that's all we're going to get. In terms of reinforcements, so we have no tanks to start. We are getting no tanks. We are going to get some artillery support as time goes on. So after 5 minutes, we will get some 81mm mortars and 3-inch mortars, I should say, and some 25-pounder field guns. And after 15 minutes, we will get some 4.2-inch heavy mortars and some self-propelled howitzers, 105mm self-propelled howitzers. So a reasonable amount of artillery support coming after the kind of first 5-15 minutes. We're also expecting the rest of C platoon to show up, so or more elements, I should say, not the entirety of it, but 13th and 15th platoon showing up after about 15 and 20 minutes respectively, although there's a bit of an asterisk around that, so we'll have to see when they actually turn up. The only other little nugget of information in the briefing was that we are expecting the Germans to attack on both sides of the river, so not only pushing in from towards Bougie as they did last time, but also some elements on the south side of the river. So that's the mission, that's the briefing. We have 1 hour we need to hold for. How have we set out our stall? Well, maybe I'll just run through from left to right, or west to east. So, first question was, last time we very effectively pushed up to hold Upper Gavros, and used that as a flanking position for the Germans coming in this side of the map. And I was tempted to do something similar again, but I was concerned that given the strength of the German forces, both with a significant number of infantry platoons as well as that armoured support, that I would not be able to push enough forces up in here to really maintain fire superiority. So my concern was I kind of push in, I don't know, a couple of sections or even maybe a full platoon up in here, which opens up a good flank, but rather than face their flank as they attack kind of towards this direction, towards the south, they divert a large portion of their forces and concentrate on this squad, or platoon I should say, and then I'm going to lose fire superiority and suffer casualty, especially if they use their tanks from position where I don't have AT coverage. So that was my first kind of thought. So I felt that was not the right answer in this situation, and having said to hold a more defensive line on the edge of this section of houses. So to that effect, we've got 10th platoon over here. So I've broken off one infantry section and just got them to take positions, broken up into their detachments, take positions in lower forest building. They're really just to act as a bit of a tripwire should the Germans try and push around this way. I don't really believe they are. It's not really an ideal way to try and push in on the objective, mainly because of the way that these kind of walls are segregating the buildings. Even if you push through here, there's nowhere to go. And yes, you could push it all the way around the woods, but I'm not really convinced I see the AI doing that. Still, I want to have some guys here as a tripwire just in case they push some elements in. The rest of this platoon are going to be split on the kind of two sides of this road here, predominantly occupying these two buildings. Let's come down street level a little bit. So just going to set up one section in this building and one section in this building. The sight lines are pretty good actually, and I really want restricted sight lines. I don't want to open up a huge front with German defenders taking positions up in the kind of northern section of the village. But I really want to catch anyone coming around the corner to be able to get them and overwhelm them at short range. So that's my kind of thinking there. And then park him up here, just out of the way at the back, keep out of trouble, and then I can bring him in if required. So that's their kind of position. In the centre, so again, we talked about in the last video about whether we want to try and hold this defensive line along this blockage, or can I give up this field? Now, obviously, there's no objectives I'm losing by giving up this field this time, and because we don't already have 80 assets in position, I decided I'm going to take a slight step back here. So what I've done is taken most of, which platoon number this is, 11 platoon, and as you see, they are kind of 2/3 of which is lined up along this hedgerow, supported by one of our heavy machine guns. We've split up the other section and just spread them along the lower levels of these buildings, along with the separate Brent detection, to hopefully provide some flanking fire should the Germans push across this field. I've also got a forward observer tucked away in the second story. He's not there to engage, but to provide some eyesight. And we have got a sniper, again, a second story, bit of eyesight, also tucked up slightly higher up, because he's got a reasonable field of vision out these windows across both this area and into the next field. So hopefully he can pick off a few targets. Now, my having adopted this position, then it becomes kind of obvious that with the Germans wish to push across here, then what they're going to need to do is establish a fire base, and the obvious position for that is along this hedge. Anywhere along this kind of area, then it's just a question of who can throw the most lead, because we've got the kind of similar protection and the angles don't really matter. I'm slightly concerned with this section of the hedgerow because we don't have as many clear lines of sight onto it. We are going to have some chaps into the lower floor of this building, and who could actually be potentially vulnerable if the Germans build up a bit of a presence. For that reason, there's two things we're doing. We're getting this Bren detachment, who's going to come in and sit in these foxholes, which I'm not 100% sold on is the best use of his skills, abilities, weapons, whatever you want to call it. But I didn't have a great place to put him over on this side, so I'm going to hold him there for now. He can act as a deterrent if we do get some Germans up against his hedgerow, and he can act as a bit of spare capacity if we needed to plug a gap, say, on this side if we're getting a big push through here, and we can push them into these buildings. So not convinced that's my ace play, but that's what we're going to do. A better solution I've got to the problem is using one of my 3 target reference points. Plop that down here so we can drop some artillery just along this hedgerow, and that should hopefully inflict casualties on any kind of German build-up. So that's this hedge essentially. Then as we move over, we've got our 12th platoon, and so they're really kind of looking out into this field. So we've got, or not all of them actually, one of them still stacked up supporting on the west side, and they've got other 2 and their Brenn detachments and their mortars kind of lining up along this bocage to really provide fields of fire into this area as the Germans come. And of course, as part of the other one, we think this, and as we saw last map, this was a great place for the Germans to build up fire bases. So we'll drop a TRP there so we can drop some artillery on them. That's fine. We do know that there could be some Germans coming in from the right. So there's a couple of things we've done over here. First of all, we're grabbing a whole section, and I'm pushing them around to take a position on this hedgerow. Again, to act as just to open up a different angle of fire on kind of Germans potentially pushing through here. However, as we know there might be Germans coming in from our right, I've now got my 2 scouts. I've got them on foot, and I'm asking them to hold positions on this side of this road to keep eyes out for Germans pushing through here. They're not going to be massive speed bumps, but if we see a sustained German force pushing through here, it's at least advance warning to get this section out of there so they don't get kind of horribly caught out of position. The other possibility on this side is actually infantry and tanks. We'll get to tanks in a minute. I've been avoiding them and I will get to it eventually. But infantry, say, pushing around here and coming down this road. So to kind of deter against that, we've got one of the, it's actually one of the scout Brenn carriers, universal carriers, and we've taken the driver from the 2IC's Jeep, and he's going to act as a gunner, and we're just going to position this facing down this road as a surprise for any Germans coming around the corner, should they wish. Also allows us to, we can pull back and protect that if we do see a lot of Germans kind of coming in this way. Then we've got an extra kind of Brenn position. Also to support Germans in pushing us right, we have our 14th Platoon of C Company, so they are predominantly positioned within this field, so some of these are all, in fact most of them are all broken up just into smaller parts of their sections, or detachments, just to spread them out amongst these foxholes. Again, just as a defence for this kind of avenue of attack of any infantry coming in here. And also we've grabbed the 2nd Scout Brenn carrier, broken off a couple of riflemen from one of the platoon, one of the sections, and they're going to act as, again, a mobile Brenn machine gun. We did take one section from these guys, these chaps down here, 3 section, and I'm going to bring them into the tree line just down here, just because I'm very light in this area for defence. And I'm going to put them into this position, and that way any Germans, say, coming through this field are going to have, we'll both be able to identify them, we'll have some fire going out this direction, and we can swing some guys onto the hedgerow to open up another angle. Meanwhile, last and by no means least, we've got another one of our heavy machine guns, and again this might be a bit of a waste of his skills, but we've got him positioned at the back here, again covering this kind of field and these kind of wooded approach should the Germans bring a lot of infantry in this area and push through these woods. And again, we slap the TRP down in amongst these woods, and potentially we're just going to do some area denial. So even if we're not convinced there's Germans there, I'm tempted to throw a fairly low intensity prolonged barrage in that spot just to make sure they can't go through it. So the one area where we are really vulnerable at the start is this field here, this avenue of approach. The Germans coming in this field line, through these woods, across this river, and then into objective this way. And there's not a lot we can do about that. We should get some spots from some of the positions we've got if we do see them kind of popping out here. And the plan will be, as soon as we get our first batch of reinforcements, to send at least one of their sections in here to kind of hold this position, and potentially more depending on what we see develop. if we see a really sustained push coming here in terms of infantry, then we're going to have to swing a lot of this platoon to counter that. Alright, so that's all the infantry side of things. But we cannot consider this mission without the armour and the Panzer Force and what they're going to do. So, having looked at the map and the various avenues of advance for armour, so firstly, this south of the river area, which we talked about a lot for infantry, I don't see armour support, and this may catch me out later, but okay, so first off, there's no way through for armour through these woods or across the river if they come up obviously through the wheat field. Potentially, if they come in the very edge here, there is a path through this field, through this road, and right into the back. I'm just not convinced they're going to bring armour over here. I think we're more likely to see the armour push from Bougie. And so to that end, I haven't got any AT assets covering this area to begin with. And we might be in a bit of a scramble if we need them. By far, it's much more likely that once again we'll see the armour come up this road from Bougie. And then there's 3 routes it can really take. First, it can swing over to the west here, and I've just realised I've had my compass directions wrong the entire time. I'm looking south. So flip every compass direction I've said thus far. We'll come on this Bougie and we'll move over to the left hand side of the map. There we go. Can't get that wrong. And potentially come down this road. So, and that's a pretty good avenue type. It could be supported by infantry elements pushing through these buildings along this hedgerow. So to that effect, obviously we've got some Piats for some close range defence, and we're grabbing one of our AT guns. It doesn't really matter which one, but anyway, we're going to grab one of our AT guns and we're going to bring him up into this position here. I'm going to get down and have a wee look at it. Right, just nestled in, just in here, nice sight line up there without much exposure. So there's a little bit, if they got, I know, an MG team up in that window there, okay, we're exposed, but really there's no other firing positions onto this guy. He's got a nice line of sight up the road, should be able to deal with any armour that turns up. The second route they could take is come trundling along here, down this track, into this field, and then into this other field, and kind of throughout our positions that way. And I've decided is really to defend against that using the Piat. So we've got a couple of guys here. Now, those Piat teams. It's only about 100 meters to that gap in the bocage, so definitely within their range. And I think we're just going to have to deal with close support. But I mean, he really doesn't have much option but to come all the way in here if he wants to kind of put any real effective fire on our positions. And then the third route, which we saw them take last time, is down this road when we could either then split into this field or continue down the track and come around the corner. And so to defend against that, we're going to take our second AT gun and bring them up into this position where they've got good visibility right up into that point there, and again kind of gaps in the field. Now there is a potential that if they went herring down there, they'd get to the corner before we spot them, in which case we would simply have to kind of pull back all the guys in here and swing one of our Piats over for kind of close range once he gets a bit further. But it's not actually a really useful place to have a tank. It would be frustrating and annoying and make me to position my forces, but there's not a lot for him to shoot at. But if he did choose to do it, then we have a bit of a defence. So that's where we think the armour is going to come. And yeah, that's about it. So I've been through all my teams and had a look at the ammunition in the brain carriers and in the extra ammo truck that we've got. So made sure everyone with a brain gun has got at least 500 rounds of ammo. And I've dished out, we had an extra dozen HE mortar bombs, so split them between a couple of teams. Just to make sure everyone's kind of topped up on ammo. Use same 9mm for a Sten gun, so we shouldn't be running out anytime soon. With mortars, yeah, so again, I've got his position with a role of knocking out fire bases along this bocage. Same theory for this mortar attachment over there. The mortar attachment from this platoon, which this chap back here is actually going to swing out onto this hedge to support these guys because there's no real use for him over there. And then finally this guy's lurking at the back, so he can preside either mortar fire directly to the end of this field, or actually push up against the hedge and kind of fire over here if that's where they see him coming from. And that is about it. So that's the plan. As ever, nothing, no plan survives first contact with the enemy, so we'll have to see what tricks the Germans have for us. But yeah, that's 20 minutes into video and I'll push the go button. So without further ado, let's just crack on. Normally in fact, let's get rid of these green zones, so it makes the place look a little bit nicer. Yeah, normally I cut away. I think they're going to be on us quite quickly as per last time. So I'm tempted to just go for it. I will throw in a quick save just to make sure nothing goes awry. Especially if the recording gives up. I don't have to do all that again. And the real interesting piece we'll be seeing where we get that first contact of armour. So the last few people moving into positions. I've got... Interesting, he's not showing the AT symbol, but he definitely has the AT guns. That's okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so they are in Gavrus already and in position. Okay, so that... So it looks like we've been lucky. I'm going to have to say axe, not everyone's across the road yet, so maybe we should be careful. But there they are. So, first of the infantry teams. Okay, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting them to start in the town. But hopefully our guys will make it through without coming a cropper. And indeed they have, that's good. Don't want to lose anyone unnecessarily. Ooh, and some... big booms being employed by the Germans there. Ooh, and some casualties. I suspect there'll be a few more, so we've taken just a rifleman casualty. They are... Right, is that a casualty? Yeah, in a second story building, which is unusual. But everyone will get their heads down. These guys are probably the most exposed. The foxholes aren't too bad unless we get a direct hit. But yeah, we'll have to see what the casualties we sustain from this bombardment. I'm glad everyone is in buildings. Oh, actually they're not. I should probably put them inside. Woo, an explosive first minute. Okay. Don't think there's any other contacts we really need to worry about. So you look like you're very much getting in the way of my AT gun. And indeed you are. Yeah, you're on a pause there. I'll turn you down to a move. Let's just get you to go straight there, and then you can twiddle about on the spot trying to face the right direction. So these guys, this is my scout HQ team. I just wanted to provide a little bit of machine gun support to the AT gun. Yeah, so that they can't just be picked off by an infantry unit, so we can supply against that. I'm a bit frustrated by this because if he hadn't got in the way, I'd be able to detach, dismount the team this minute, which I now can't do. And because they don't have a separate icon, I can't tell them to dismount once they get there. It's a kind of... Right, meanwhile, you are happily heading off. That's good. So one thing I do need to know is grab their ammo buddies. It's really interesting that these guys are showing... oh, so this actually has a driver. Which is... Whereas this one doesn't, it's being driven by them. I wonder why that difference is there. Interesting. Not that interesting, I'm sure, but interesting for me. Okay, I need to get these guys, give them orders to follow up, just so the ammo is vaguely close to the guys. So I'll just quickly do it off camera, and then we'll come back and push on, see if we get other contacts. Alright, so got their orders in. I'll just follow behind slowly to get in position. Should we need more ammo? The only other thing I did was get this guy to go like the clappers into that building to provide some additional protection from these rounds that are coming in. Apart from that, we're just going to have to sit and take it and see what the Germans have up their sleeves. But I'm okay, I'm happy, well I'm not okay taking barrage, but if nothing else, it gives me time to set up my AT guns. So what I really don't want, ooh, a few more casualties there, is a tank to turn up before I'm set up. So that's just an injury. Ooh, these guys are getting badly hurt. They are more condensed, to be fair, actually. That's a whole section in one building compared to just 3 guys. So we have lost our leader, unfortunately. At least we've kept the brain gun, which is a small mercy, a very small mercy. Just right from, oh, hello. I don't know if I'm going to get there in time. Well, I'm potentially not. So it's going to be another minute to dismount him, and then another minute, and then a couple of minutes to get him into position. Okay. I just hope we don't get taken out before then. This could be tight. So you guys, I wonder if I can give you a... Oh, I can. Get to there, and then deploy your weapon. Okay. That's good. And the difference is, so because there's a driver, I can do that, I can issue that order. Because these guys don't have a driver, I can't do that. Any movement order will make them move the vehicle. All you can do is give them a dismount order, which I then can't queue up actions afterwards. So they're going to spend their whole minute dismounting, whereas these guys are actually going to start unlimbering. So, subtle difference. Meanwhile, yeah, there's not much I can really do over here. So we took a few casualties, just 1 rifleman there. But yeah, it's this section's taking the brunt of it thus far. 4 casualties down. Okay. And this, to be honest, this position could become untenable if they put a lot of fire from an angle I can only get return fire on. Aside from that, do I want to switch any of my P8s over? I mean, it's too far. I'm hoping he just sits back here and does a whole lot of nothing for a couple of minutes. What's the kind of range? That's 200 meters. Yeah, I'd need to get him really... I mean, really you want to be like 100 meters for P8. I know their range is quoted as longer than that. 160, but accuracy gets it a bit concerning. No, I'll not move him over just yet. Excuse me, we stare at the trees. Yeah, we'll just hold there. No rumblings over here yet, which is good. I want to really buy as much time as I can. And you're still moving position. I will need to remember to finesse their final positions, because I haven't done that yet. Right, let's push on. Let's try and get a couple more minutes done. Let's start with this tank, I think. Well, we'll come over this way. We'll see what happens. But I'm concerned because they're too quick for me. Right, it's definitely some infantry, which is not surprising. Who sends a tank in on their own? Okay, and they are pushing down this road, right? So our first shot's going out. This is good. That's what these guys are here for. Potentially I should get my mortar involved in that. This is really the prime time for them to drop their bombs when they're all grouped up. And there we have it. Hello, Mr. Panzer IV. So obviously we faced one of these before, and it went well for us then. But hey, no guarantees of repeat success. Meanwhile, what we got eyes on? Hey, with first German casualty, that's good. Yeah, just a fairly standard German infantry section. The officer cowering on the floor, and I don't know what weapon the injured guy has. Well, we can find out, I suppose. Looks like the machine gun. Oh, have we done the impossible? And actually taking a machine gun man with one of our first hits. We have! That's nice. Okay, so therefore I shall no longer have my confirmation bias that their machine guns always survive and my brain gunners always die. Okay, that's good. Let's just kind of push on. We'll see what trouble this... just sort my view out a little bit. This Panzer causes us. So we did fire at him apparently, which should hopefully at least make the commander button up. We should see him. Oh, hang on, hang on. Man, there's more medals going out now. I just saw a lovely red. Look at. Just having a nice view. One dead commander. Who was that? Who was that? Who is shooting at you? So these guys down here? No, it's these guys down here. Oh, I just realised I forgot to do something with that, which I'll talk about in a minute. I really want to work out who... Oh, is it this? Ah, it's my, what do you call it? Flanking team. They seem to be the ones that have got the shot. Yeah, there you go. One of these two plucky privates. Excellent. This is a complete oversight of mine, which I'll correct next minute. So again, this is one of the spare brain carriers. It has got a brain gun in it, but no one to shoot it. So what I had meant to do was break off a scout team and stick them in there. So I shall do that at the end of this minute. And it's in a position where it can't be seen from up here, but should have a bit of sight lines if the Germans do push down. Okay, let's keep going. Meanwhile, things seem to be holding steady over there, which is good. You guys are moving. Why? Don't know. Are you legging it? I'll have to have words about that. And the tank is now running away, which is good and bad. Good that the tank's leaving. Bad that I'm not going to get a pop at it, but hopefully he will come back. Okay, that was okay. That was okay. A little bit of Revenge. Now, you should be able to see up here. Please just start dropping your bombs. Probably just where? I mean, I know you're not that accurate. Probably just into that hedgerow, to be perfectly honest. Probably in this one, I think. Can we target behind a little bit? That's probably not bad, actually. Yeah, just drop them in that action square. I think that'll do quite nicely for us. You're still limbering up. That is A-okay. I will make that change before I forget. Grab me a scout team. And will you please quickly get yourselves into there, where you'll become brain gunners. Meanwhile, yeah, these guys aren't happy. Which is understandable. They took a bit of a pasting in their little foxhole position. So tell you what, now have you recovered your composure? Can I get you to go in here, please? Thank you. And maybe we'll stay in there for now. Yeah, this is what I was slightly concerned about. Although that German has come out of his building. And it's not machine gun, it's just an MP4. See, just those things are obviously deadly enough. Especially as these guys have not been having a great time of it. Okay. This may not have been a great position to try and hold, but I did want some kind of tripwire over here. What we could do... maybe I'll leave it for now, actually. Although if they're just going to eat soak bullets. I don't know if I want that. I'm really friends. What you could do is try and get to face a different way so they're all on the different side of the house, but I'm not convinced. Alright, we are sitting at almost 35 minutes. I do want to go for maybe run one more, because we hardly done anything. It's just all been me chatting about build up. But this is what I need to fix before we do that. You guys are going to move to... I need to make sure you get to a reasonable place. Now if I say to move here, are you going to move somewhere silly? I think you probably are. It's probably just going to have to be here. No. Move yourselves. I might actually need to move you over to here, which is more exposed than I was really going for. But so be it. Alright, you guys are going to come... No, here. That's fine. You get there, you are going to deploy your weapon, and you are going to face in this direction. You are very much going to have to scoot. Probably over to here. Now the problem is now, you might become under fire from a place these guys don't have vision. But what I want you to do is at least get yourself here until they get set up. And then we'll consider reorientating you so you don't get blown up by a marauding panzer. Good. You guys are just fine sitting there, to be honest. I'm almost tempted to push them forward a little bit. We've said no indications of infantry over here. And they might be trying to push around this corner. So do you know what? I will. I want you to move up a little bit. Good. And let's just push on one more minute then. Oh, see what happens when you run away. Bad things happen. Oh, thankfully it's just an injury. I say just, obviously unpleasant experience for those involved. You have run away, presumably you saw a tank. Which I'm okay with. We've got some shots going out and some mortar bombs. That, what is that? Poor. We're seeing a bigger push over here. I'll go and have a look at that in a minute. Right. You guys need to get in there to get that tiny bit of protection that you can have. Ooh, and first casualty. Oh no. Oh yeah, yep. Ah, and indeed it was one of those riflemen. No, don't run away. Where are you going? Tank's gone. You're fine. Just shoot back. They seem to be falling back a little bit. So I'm probably tempted. I'm going to cancel that mortar attack next turn. Okay. Meanwhile, what bad things have happened over here? Oh my word. These guys are have had an absolutely terrible time of it. I think mainly from artillery, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I mean... But it's not great in terms of they've got more fire on me than I've got on them. I should really pull out. Oh. Not that there's going to be anyone left to pull out. Okay. Oh, he's getting involved. That's good. Yeah, I really need you guys to set that up and point it in the right direction. I'm a little worried about their vulnerability to small arms fire, which is... But I also do need them to keep that sight line. Okay, that's been an okay beginning. I appreciate it's only been 4 minutes. And we've lost intentionally an entire section, which is pretty frustrating. But we've kind of essentially pushed back the first probing attack from the Germans. We'll have to see where this tank re-emerges. I'm kind of hoping it's in the same place, although we're still limbered, so... You know, give us a minute. Meanwhile, no spots on the right-hand flank for now, so I will take it. Anyway, I do hope you have enjoyed this. We will obviously continue this next time, and I will catch you all then. Bye.